Oh, this is the beginning of making one of the farm animals, the duck. Initially, the pattern is marked out on plywood and cut with the bandsaw. Note the blade for cutting the duck is a very thin 1/4 inch blade. Larger blades make it too difficult. After cutting the pattern, then we transfer the pattern onto the wood which we'll be using to carve the duck. It can be quite a complicated procedure. There are two patterns. One is the side view of the duck, and the one that you can see now is the view over the top of the duck, so the shape. So you have to cut both very carefully and mark them out on the blank to be carved later. Now this is the blank. As you can see, I'm marking out using the pattern initially for the duck itself, and you can see a finished product nearby being demonstrated by my partner. Now using the bandsaw, very slow, gentle cutting, and watching one's fingers, of course. The wood I'm using is usually radiata pine, but it's difficult to get that in the Philippines. So this is actually Luan, which is an imported timber. Still a very nice timber to carve. It's a slow process, but as you can see, once we've got the outside, the shape of the duck cut, then we cut the main two sides off the duck to give you a roughed out body. Actually, the duck is the simplest of the farm animals in the set that we make for the model farm and barn, which is one of our products. Later I can show you pictures of that. Now, ever onwards. The duck is now looking a bit duck-like, and now the second pattern has to be marked and carefully cut. You can see the beak, etc. This is definitely not mass production. So, I suppose in the background I've been whittling since I was a kid, and this is a great luxury, having a bandsaw to cut out the blanks. I used to do it with a coping saw, which was a long, arduous job. And now here we can see cutting the two side parts. Again, being very careful. I've still got all my fingers after all these years. Very delicate operation. You can see the duck is now starting to look even more duck-like. Once your blank is carved, there's quite a bit of time to whittle it. And note I'm using a bit of scrap timber to hold the piece, that's so my fingers don't go near the blade. And there you have it, a blank. Nearly ready for carving, just a little bit around the head and beak. And hopefully it's symmetrical. And once that's complete. Yes, whittling the duck, it's probably the smallest of the hand-carved animals I make for the toy farm set. After roughing it out with the carving tool, it's sandpapering and painting to complete. The most of the farm animals for the farm set are actually much simpler than this. They're just routed around the outside and given a smooth edge, but the more detailed ones like this duck and the dogs take a lot more time. The system I use for the design actually is taking photographs of the real animal and then printing the photograph out the correct size and gluing the picture onto plywood. Now I'm sanding the duck, just to get rid of the rough edges in preparation for painting. The
Sandpaper I use at the moment is around about 100 grit, and I put it in a rolls to fit in the curved sections. It'll take a little while, but the duck will soon be ready to paint. We're now going to paint the duck we carved earlier. Jenny is going to experiment with painting, and we have a plywood board to rest the duck on, and there's also a nail underneath the duck so it's easier to hold while painting. Initially we need to put an undercoat, so to start with we will paint the duck white.
Yeah, and then we will use
Jenny is using the little paint brushes we bought.
different, and then
Okay.
we have
already
4 different colors here.
We have the colours mixed already.
White, the color white, maroon, yellow, and green.
And green. Okay, so it'll be an interesting experiment
My first time
to see how Jenny goes with her first duck painting.
Don't take my
Okay, done.
good. Take me.
Jenny is now going to paint our duck white. This is the undercoat. The sound of chickens in the background appreciating watching the duck being painted. Ideally you should be painting a whole lot at the same time because you've got different things drying at different times, but this is our first, or Jenny's first attempt at duck painting. An interesting skill.
Yeah, it's my first time.
And the plywood has a hole in it so the duck can be put down on the plywood to dry. Then we can look at the other colours, the probably orange for the beak or yellow, and green for the head like a mallard duck. We'll see how it goes. So there we have a white duck. Pretty well done. Now, Jenny is now painting the duck. Initially the head is green, and she will leave the area for the beak and the rest of the body for different colours. And Jenny mixed the green from yellow and blue to match. So, we're using an enamel paint, but I think we should buy water-based acrylic, which is a lot easier for cleaning and also touching up. We'll see how we go.
So here, right?
Okay, underneath, yes, underneath the neck. Just refer to the model
Okay. Yeah.
where we can see where the green and the other colours are. So that looks to be almost ready. Okay. Working?
Yeah, it's working.
Jenny is now painting the brown around the chest area. Now, we did put a pencil line to give the correct edge. So once the brown is painted, we can look at the wings and the beak, leaving the areas white where the wings are. Jenny mixed the brown up herself from red and blue.
Red and green.
And green, sorry, red and green. Red and green, she corrected me there. So we make our own colours, experimentally. I don't think the duck minds. Doesn't matter if the edge isn't square because the feathers are segregated anyway. As I said before, it's much more efficient if you're doing more than one duck at a time. Probably if you had 10 ready, I mean, you wouldn't be changing the brush all the time. Like with most of the toy production, you know, you're better off doing it in larger batches. It's looking good.
Good here.
It's a little. Just make that curve shape. Allowing for the wings. Okay. Now Jimmy's just painting the brown at the middle of the duck. It's just underneath the feathers of the wings. The friendly chicken visiting again. When the paint is dry, then we can do details like the beak and the eyes.
This is correct?
That's good. It's looking good. Okay.
Okay.
Now Jenny's going to use the brown brush, but very lightly without putting any more paint on it. This gives a variation effect of the colour. You can see the effect is good at the rear and around the sides of the duck. And the detail on the wings can be added later, probably with a little bit of blue. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This Jenny is now going to, a very delicate operation, painting the eyes. We use a pencil and put a dab of yellow in the centre, which is correct, and another for the eye. And for the centre of the eye, we then use the pencil again with a small amount of brown, very gently. Maybe she can practice on a bit of wood first, just to see if she's got the right diameter. Or on the finger. Okay. Make sure it's loose on the end. Okay. Now,
Wait, sorry.
now it's very nervous, very exciting part of the operation. The centre of the eye. Beautiful. And the other eye. Now we have the duck you can see, slightly cross-eyed, but that's good. The next part is the beak. The painting the beak is difficult in that we're trying to keep a distinct line between the green and the beak without it being shaded, so it's got to be done very carefully. Now Jenny is going to paint the beak, try not to blend the green of the head with the beak. Starting to look a bit more like a mallard. Imagine this was just a square lump of wood not so long ago, so it's really coming together well. Finer detailing can be done with a much finer brush later on around the edges, but initially we get the main colours down. And there it is, the beak has been done. And Jenny's using a mix now of white and brown and trying to get a stripy feather effect, as you can see. That's for the wings. Just do up to the dark edge.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. And that's good. And okay. Now we're going to put a little bit of blue at the back of the wings to try and define the wings a bit better. But, if you turn it around, we'll be able to see what you're doing. It's coming along very nicely. Now we have a very strangely coloured mallard breed. It's probably a crossbreed actually. That's why he's not the perfect colour combination.
Is this correct?
Yes, that's excellent. Good.
A few moments later.